Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Progress Project podcast. We are joined here with Alex Demirel.
Correct.
Cool. And basically, we wanted to get Alex on because he was firstly recommended by Mo Samuels, and we've also been following him for quite a long time, actually, since we got introduced to the RET. And he is also specifically, you are a mindset coach, aren't you?
Health and performance coach.
Health and performance coach for young men. So I think that goes in quite in line with our audience and our listeners. And I think this is just a perfect match to sort of get you on and basically share your experience in the art of self-development. So how are you, mate?
Really good, mate. Swamped with work. But yeah, other than that, I'm very, very grateful to be in the position I'm in. And yeah, just grateful, man. So I really do think the older you get, honestly, especially for men anyway, life gets better with career capital, with confidence, with skills, with experience, with almost every aspect of your life improves. So I'm 27. I'm not old, but I am reaching 30 now. And I'll tell you this, it does come around quick.
And age like fine wine, don't they?
Honest, 100%. 100%. I really feel like life begins for you at 30, and even 40 is like a great time. And that bullshit dogma of, oh, my joints, etc., blah blah blah. If you're training from a young age, you'll be just fine. I mean, you could talk about TRT past the age of 40, but for now, I think again it's a mindset, and people use that as an excuse because they can't be fucked to train and to keep up that endurance and health. But yeah.
100%.
So yeah, kind of speaking about that, how your life doesn't actually start to maybe later down the line. Obviously, a lot of people kind of come out of uni, they feel a lot of pressure to get a job straight away, or maybe they don't even go to uni and they just jump straight into the first job they get because they feel like quite pressurized. And I don't know if you're in that situation where you felt kind of pressurized to get a job or something like that, but you used to actually be a mechanic a couple of years ago. You didn't go to uni, did you?
No, didn't go to uni. Didn't have the urge. And I actually do regret it. I wish I went to uni. I think it's the perfect stepping stone to adulthood. You know, thousands of years ago in tribal times, you would be, in some tribes anyway, you would be taken away, the boy would, into the forest and left to fend for yourself until you were competent enough to do so. And then you'd be welcomed back into the tribe as a man. And nowadays that's gone. And like the best substitute is university or the army, or like some kind of service like that. So for me, I picked an apprenticeship. And honestly, I don't think an apprenticeship gives you a lot of self-esteem, because you're always at the bottom of the hierarchy. You're paid pennies for doing actually more work. And it just doesn't do your self-esteem any good, I found. So it took me a while to kind of build that up through my own competency, which was fitness, nutrition, and now coaching. But yeah, I didn't go to uni, but I do think it's often hated, like, you don't need a degree to do blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you're not sure what you want to do, it's probably the best thing for you at that time is to still stay in education. If you're really set on what you want to do, go ahead, you know, start the business or whatever it is you want to do. But if you're not sure, I wouldn't listen to the entrepreneurs or the hustle culture that says, you know, degrees are useless, because it's not necessarily the inherent degree that is of value. It's the experience that you get with it, of paying bills, of moving out, of becoming the person you could be, of leaving the nest. And I think a lot of lads as well need to be leaving the nest as soon as possible to become a man. Otherwise, you're just a man child, and it's never a good look for anyone.
So reflecting on like your previous job, what was your mindset at that time? Like, how did you view life compared to sort of how you view life now and your mindset now?
I'll be honest. Pretty not narcissistic, but I always wanted more for myself. I always thought I was better than the average person.
You're just ambitious.
Just perseverance. Like, I'll be the last one to quit on a team. Like, I will not give up. And maybe that's ego. Maybe that's, I don't know, too much pride. But I think you can frame it as a good thing, and you can use it for a good thing. And for me, it was like, when I was a mechanic, I went in with the purpose of getting the qualification, going to New Zealand and making a good bit of money as a HGV mechanic, because one, there's good money, and I also like enjoy fixing things. It's my passion, or was my interest at the time. But I really don't kind of agree with starting off with your passion as your job, because you'll end up hating your passion. I think you should stick to your strengths, and the passion will follow, and obviously the money as well, because you'll be an expert in your field. But yeah, I wouldn't. Where are we going with that?
Just basically saying, like, how has your mindset shifted from, let's say, 3 years ago?
That's what. Yeah.
Or
So
4 years
from there
ago.
on, I was like, I started to feel an overwhelming sense of I need to do something else because this isn't working. And it's not for me. I literally remember being in the garage and in the middle of winter, hands freezing, paid like £5 an hour, £6 an hour, essentially being bullied in work as well. And I was just like, is this it? Is this what we're supposed to strive towards as adults? Is this it for the next 20, 30 years? Obviously I was an apprenticeship, but still I could see where this was going. And I was like, there has to be more than this. There has to be a better way to make money and to not just climb this hierarchy of competency. So in my third year of an apprenticeship, I got reached out to actually from social media. At the time I was posting basically selfies and pictures in the gym. I had a pretty good physique after like 5-6 years of relentless, like ruthless consistency. I would go on holiday with the lads and I'd be in the gym after a night out, and not because like I thought I needed to be. I enjoyed it that much. I enjoyed the lifestyle of it. Like that was a holiday to me. Is when I go on holiday, part of it is going to the gym. I enjoy that. So yeah, I did that and took this plunge of this social media marketing job and got out through that, and that really broadened my horizon in terms of what was possible and just kind of always saying yes to opportunity. Because when you're young, you've got a lot of you don't have a lot of opportunity, but you have a lot of possibilities and avenues and paths you can go down. And I think when you're young, you should just not say yes to everything, be calculative, but try a lot of things and seeing what sticks. Because you have a lot of time on your hands with no responsibility. So that was my method, was like, I'm just going to fucking, whatever opportunity comes my way, I'm just going to go for it and wing it. And along the way, I've always been into naturally a little bit of philosophy, a little bit of development as well. And it's only like the past 2-3 years have I really kind of done full circle with that. Done, the sales job in London and the marketing job. And now through like natural events of RET is now like more of the coaching on my own terms, solely coaching. And now this is like scaling to more high performance, because it's just the natural path it's taken is because of the self-development. I don't do it because it's like a facade or something. I do it because I think, well, one, I frankly enjoy it. I think it's a really important and two, it's an important message, I think, to be putting out for other people, not just young, although I think a lot of young people are lost nowadays. There's no compass. It's very confusing. It's overwhelming. We have decision paralysis by so many choices. We've got so much white noise, so many opinions of what to do with our lives, who we should be, how we should talk, what kind of friends we should have. Should we fuck a lot of girls? Should we go to this event, blah, blah, all these pressures and social pressures that you lose who you are, or you lose like the essence of who you could be. And you end up putting on some kind of image for whatever to fit into the crowd. So I think that's why I've gone from being a mechanic to where I am now, is because I think it's maybe just with age, but you just really learn to, maybe not everyone, but it's something that I realize as the older you get, the less you are swayed by the pressure of others and the opinion of others. And because you just start to learn through trial and error who you are, but also who you're not. So I know I'm not a mechanic. I know I'm not a salesperson. And it's only through trial and error that I've started to curate this coach. And I'm sure that will evolve in the next decade or so to something else. But for now, ultimately, I think one thing that becomes apparent to me the older I get is just to really sharpen and invest in your mindset. Because that's the thing that you navigate the world with. And, mindset's a very vague term, but it can fit many aspects of how you navigate this life. But ultimately, like, if you're investing yourself in some form, like I don't know, courses, reading books, like philosophy, YouTube. I learned a lot of my shit through YouTube, man. Like there's no excuse nowadays. And I think it's human, but it is human nature to want growth. And I think doing that through mindset and just trying to develop yourself is the best thing you can do in your 20s. So yeah, I mean, that doesn't really answer your questions on a segue, but I think there's some value there.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, definitely. So just going back to, like you said there a couple of years ago, you were stuck as a mechanic, getting paid like fuck all basically for doing a fairly hard day's job. There's probably going to be somebody else out there who might have even started becoming a mechanic at the same time as you and is still a mechanic today, but always hated it just as much as you did.
My friend is, who was there,
Yeah.
my apprentice friend. We both spoke about getting out, and he actually reached out like three years later, and he was like, "Oh, you got out. You know, you were one of the lucky ones." I was like, "I wasn't the lucky one, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking, I jumped. You know, the pain of remaining the same was greater than the pain of uncertainty of going for the jump."
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's why we're creatures. We're pain averse. We will do anything to avoid pain. And for me, the pain of staying in that fucking garage with that shit ass job, traveling like 15, 20 miles every day on a little motorbike and the freezing cold, that was greater than the pain of going for another job or jumping ship to do something else and moving to London and trying this marketing job. So it wasn't, I don't think anyone's ever lucky. You kind of create your luck with that.
Yeah. And is there anything people can do before they have to get to that breaking point? So say you feel stuck in a job or you feel like you're in a bit of a rut. Is there anything like any steps that you can take to start getting out of that rut or feeling like unstuck and working towards your goals before you think, I literally cannot handle this anymore?
Yeah. So the best place to start is get super clear, crystal clear on your goals and what it is you want to do, and then just reverse engineer it.
Okay.
So obviously that sounds very simple, but what that means is if you're stuck in a job that you hate, start writing down what is the best or ideal job for you or outcome, and how can you reverse engineer that, and just get really clear on your goals. You know, SMART goals really work. There's a reason why they teach that in school still. It's a good place to start. Specific, measurable, actionable, blah blah blah. So get crystal clear on your goals, and also get crystal clear on the person you want to be. And again, reverse engineer that. So a good exercise I've done with my clients for the mindset based is, you know, you walk into a coffee shop and there's a person in front of you, and it's you like 3 years from now. You know, what does he look like? What does he talk like? What are his mannerisms? What kind of friends does he have? What does he order at Starbucks? You know, and just getting clear to the minute details really helps paint that vision in your head. And it's not about the law of attraction or any of that. I don't think that is necessarily woo-woo. I think it's the law of attraction in that sense is just reminding yourself of the outcome and then taking actionable steps. And I think that's why that exercise works, is because you're getting clear on the kind of person you want to be, and then you can break down the steps that you need to execute in order to do that. So if you're stuck in a job, plan and then make little small steps that you can do to make that vision come to reality. That's what I would say to someone in a rut. And I would also remind yourself, this is not your life. Like you're not going to be here forever. It's just a means to an end. And I think we can get caught up in like, oh, my life sucks and blah, blah, blah. You're supposed to fumble. You're supposed to stumble. You're supposed to be a failure in your 20s. But I think Instagram as well, especially like social media, has made it almost shameful if you have to do a bit of a shitty job for like 5 to 10 years. And if you're not, you know, you don't have a fucking BME class on finance and fucking several girls once a week and wearing Gucci and Versace and all that.
It's a highlight reel though, isn't it?
You're a failure. And it's like, I don't blame, I get it. It's social media. You're not going to show the days where you're down or maybe when you're in debt or blah, blah, blah. But you need to take that with a massive pinch of salt. And this is why I'm so snobby or snobbish about who I follow on my Instagram and even in life, because we'll stay away from life. But for Instagram and social media, you know, you need to be auditing who you're following and what you're seeing, because if that person's making you feel shit and inadequate about your current life, that's not good for you. It's not good for your self-esteem. And I think you should only be consuming. I think social media is a tool. Like, I'm not hating on it. I think it's great. You know, we wouldn't be speaking right now if it wasn't for social media. I wouldn't be able to do my job. But you need to audit it. There needs to be some governing point of it, because it's going to dictate your reality. It's going to dictate how you feel. And people who just follow other people blindlessly and see shitty selfies of Becky in a club drinking Prosecco, it's like, is that really valuable? And that's not to say you can't follow people like that, but you know, be mindful of who you follow, because it is going to affect your self-esteem. And I think building your self-esteem after coming out of uni or whatever is really important, because it just is like one of the foundational points of everything you do in life. You know, if you do something with assurance of who you are and what you do, people are attracted to that, and it will get you places.
I like the exercise that you mentioned about looking at yourself like in 3 years' time, and like basically just looking at what the person is like. I actually like that technique. So in terms of when people come to you as a mindset coach, what is like the most common problem that young men are basically coming up to you and saying that this is a problem that is stopping them from progressing in life?
I think it's just a plan. I think a lot of lads just need guidance. They just want a mentor. They just want someone to give them a plan. It might not even be a good plan, but if they've got a plan, they just
like
feel assured, they feel rested. Yeah. And I think a lot of men, not just young lads, men in general, are missing that nowadays. There's a lot of movement on toxic masculinity, and I'm sure I'm going to upset a few Beckys here or feminists and whatnot, but I really do think a lot of men these days get a lot of slack for just being men.
Yeah.
And it's like you're painting all men under the same brush when you say about movements of like, you know, women not being able to walk at the street at night and whatnot. And it's like, well, what about the guys like myself who walk across the other side, because I can understand how she feels, but you don't hear about that because, you know, we only report on the negative. It's called negativity bias. We amplify the negative because that obviously, and also in news that sells more, etc. So I think for men, like, we need to be, there needs to be a hub. And that's partly the reason why we started RET, or the main reason was that I wanted it to be a hub for young lads to come together and like-minded and have kind of purpose of developing yourself, you know, learning to equip yourself with tools of mindset, of meditation and journaling, etc., and how to have more confidence. And obviously confidence kind of just comes with age, but trying to break that down into actionable steps. So I think having a lot of lads come to me with, they just want a plan and a purpose, and I think they think the answer is it's not in building your physique, but definitely, you know, seeing what your body is capable of is a good place to start. And then obviously your mindset as well, and just working towards that potential of how good you could be. So I kind of give them that map. I give them that roadmap in about 3 months. We try and we look at the habits, we look at the routine, we look at how much sleep you're getting, which is a massive one for performance. We look at caffeine, etc., and we make a plan and we set some goals. And like, for example, I've got one of my clients is trying to move to London, and you know, we reversed engineer it. What does he look like in London? What does the future of that client look like? And we reversed engineer it, and then we put some smaller actionable steps in place. And just having a coach to keep you accountable every week or every 2 weeks we have a call, knowing that you've got to show up and say, oh, I've done this week and we're moving this one step closer, really gives you some kind of not contentment, but just assurance of that you're doing okay. And I think a lot of lads and people in general need that nowadays, is you're doing fine. You know, if you've got a roof over your head, if you've got some kind of goal, you're doing okay. And forget about the highlight reel that Instagram says that you're a piece of shit unless you're a high flyer.
Sweet. So yeah, let's say somebody's listened to this then and they've got clear on what their purpose is. So similarly to like when somebody joins your coaching, you kind of understand what their goals are. Then is there, I know you've briefly mentioned it, like getting enough sleep, meditation, that kind of thing, but what kind of key habits or techniques are like crucial to reaching your actual like peak performance and your goals? And then on the flip side, is there any like habits that you'd say like do not do this at all, kind of thing, or like bad habits? which are going to take away from that goal as well?
Yeah. So to answer the first part of your question, I would say the best place to start is to look at your environment, and environment in terms of your room, your family, your workplace, the content you consume, the movies you watch, and look at, is it, because that's going to affect and dictate your paradigms and what you think is doable, etc. And basically, there's a reason why, like Jordan Peterson says, you know, tidy your room before you go out to the world. It's not about just having a tidy room. It's like, if you can't even tidy your room up, how are you expected to run a business? How are you expected to, you know, hold yourself when you're in work, etc., with your boss? Because your subconscious keeps track of that. Your subconscious keeps track of I don't know, the mess under your bed. And when that is clean, it helps with your self-esteem. Again, like we go back on, but I would say, yeah, look at your environment is what we look at. So what's your sleep hygiene like? You know, are you on your phone at night? Notice the correlation of, like, say if someone comes to me with like, oh, I'm always anxious. Common symptom or diagnosis is a lot of phone time, a lot of screen time, like caffeine after 2 p.m., like on Monsters, etc., energy drinks. And then in the bed, they're either eating in the bed, they're watching TV, they're on the phone is obviously a big one. And then they can't fucking sleep. And then they have shit sleep, shit sleep leads to further anxiety, further brain fog throughout the day. And so all these things are connected, but yeah, looking at the environment is the best one. And just like sleep, nutrition. So when I talk about environment, like what's in your kitchen, what's in your kitchen cupboards, etc. Because if it's in your kitchen cupboard, you're more than likely going to go and eat it. So you better make sure that it's the most, that it's you know, organic, it's whole food, at least 80-20 rule, 80% whole food, 20% whatever you like. Because people say to me about, oh, how do you remain so disciplined or motivated? It's like, I'm not. I'm just a product of my environment. You know, I don't have a TV in my room to watch TV. And my new place, my office is going to be separate from my bed as well. It's important to separate that. And it's just really about auditing your environment is what we look at when clients come to me. And then obviously we'll identify certain problems, remove it, rewire it with the correct habit or the correct environment or the change or whatever, run it, and then see how performance feels. And then on a week-to-week basis, we ask questions about, you know, how did you think this week went? What went well? What didn't go so well? What could you do better? So we're getting them to reflect of the day of the week so that they can identify, okay, when I do X, I feel Y. And then we can start to see that, okay, when you're doing these kind of habits, you feel amazing. And when you do this habit, you tend to feel this way. So yeah, what was the second part of your question?
So it's like, what are the key aspects that, or like routines, techniques that you need to implement to reach your goals, and what are the habits that are going to take away from them?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, the key habits that I've shouted about these multiple times, but meditation and reading books, make those your 2 cardinal habits. Yeah. I don't care if you say you can't read. I don't even care if you say you're dyslexic. Get Speechify, use Audible, and then read the book simultaneously. Because reading is I honestly think it's the way of getting ahead of just in terms of accelerating your career or whatever it is you want to do, because it's not just what's in the book that's beneficial. It's the act of reading itself. It's sitting down for prolonged periods of time and disciplining your mind to focus on what is in front of you, because that's not easy, especially in this day and age of social media. They think our attention span is less than a goldfish now because of all this influx of data. So sitting down, cutting out the white noise, and just reading a book, even for just just start with 2-3 pages, man. Like, I couldn't read when I first started, and I still fobbed it off for a few years because I was like, I'm just not a reader. That's bullshit. Everybody's a reader. You just have to discipline yourself and find the time. And then, yeah, the second one is meditation. And again, I fobbed this off for a few years, on and off. Didn't think it was benefiting me. I justified it through, I go for walks, I don't go on my phone much, or like riding my motorbike is my meditation, blah, blah, blah. Again, bullshit. people just like to excuse themselves from doing the difficult task. So meditation really helps you observe the texture of your mind, and it helps you recognize certain thought patterns. And, you know, I think it's like 93% of our thoughts are the same as yesterday.
Yeah.
And your thoughts dictate your behavior. They dictate your life and what everything. So if you're not aware of your thoughts, how can you expect to change your life? If you're not aware of certain thought patterns, if you're not aware of how you react or how you think about something when you hear something, how can you change? Okay. People think they are consciously consciously reacting to things. Really, it's automatic. It's learned behaviors. It's systems and reactions that you already have in place through previous experience that you just let play out. Whereas when meditation comes in, I've noticed this first like a few times. It's almost like, you know, what separates us from animals is our ability to reason. It's the gap between stimuli and response. So if you can broaden that gap, and in that gap have time to choose willingly how you want to react to a certain situation, that's where your power lies. And a lot of people are basically more animal than they are human. Well, we all are, but a lot of people fail to capitalize on that gap and just react. So when meditation comes in, you broaden that gap. You allow yourself to observe how you're reacting, and you'll feel like certain triggers. For example, if someone says something, I can feel a little fluster on my neck that triggered me. And if I wasn't previously, you know, let's say if I wasn't meditating, I might not have noticed that. And if I didn't notice it, I can't break the cycle. I can't break that thought pattern. So that's one aspect of meditation. This is why you want to do it. And I would just say to reframe it as, you don't do it because you enjoy it. I don't always enjoy my meditation sessions, but I enjoy having meditated, and I enjoy the effects it has on my future self. It's like brushing your teeth. Just because you miss one day brushing your teeth, hopefully anyway, you don't not brush your teeth the next day. You know, you just do it because you need to be doing it. You need to be looking after your teeth, and you also need to be looking after your mind, because it's the tool that you navigate this world with.
Awesome. And just going back to the point you made earlier about like, you said you weren't really much of a reader. There's probably somebody listening to this as well who's thinking, I want to start reading or whatever, but like, I don't really see myself as a reader or something like that. And I used to be in a similar position to that myself. But what I found is, it's similar to like going to the gym. When you start going to the gym, you're not very comfortable, you don't enjoy it. Then you start seeing a bit of progress. And then a year later, you're almost like, quote unquote, addicted to the gym. Like, you really enjoy going to the gym, you love it. I found myself, it's kind of similar with reading books. Now I'm almost addicted, again, you could call it that, to like self-development, growing yourself, to the point where like I really want to do my morning routine. If somebody gets in the way of my morning routine, it's almost just like, I see it as like almost a day wasted, if you know what I mean.
I know how you feel.
Yeah. So just going back to where I was going anyway. So somebody who's not into reading yet, would you agree that it's kind of one of those things where once you start, you actually really do enjoy the process, because you get into the routine of just growing basically every day. Every day is a chance to actually grow, if that makes sense.
100%. Even if it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, you owe it to yourself to read. And if you struggle, just read what you initially enjoy, and then that will broaden your interests of reading. So even if it's fucking Captain Underpants or Horrid Henry, just read something that's going to start getting you into the habit of it, and then, you know, broaden your perspective. So for me, I just started out with books that really piqued my interest. So like Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, great book. Everybody, most people know about it who read. And easy read as well, and you can't put that book down. And when you get books like that, it's really just really helps reaffirm that identity of a person who reads. And then you can go to like more thicker books, like 300, 500, 600 pages, but just start off with things that you enjoy. So for me, it was psychology. It was Robert Greene, the 48 Laws of Power, etc. Those kind of books. And then it's broadened to more philosophy, like Friedrich Nietzsche, more difficult books like that. And even like fiction now, like George Orwell, 1984. And there's some lessons in that as well. But I really think you just stop making excuses, man, and just fucking pick up the book and read just a page. And even if it's just a page on the bus, on the train, just the compound effect over time, you'll eventually get through that book. You don't have to do big bouts of reading. yeah, I think like you said, just eventually it will click. It will click.
Yeah.
So I'd also say that one bad habit that a lot of young men are susceptible to is like masturbation, and it actually takes up a lot of men's time. They're doing it on a daily basis, and I think that is really affecting their ability to communicate and attract women in real life, because of their perception of women is so like skewed from porn. So I was also just wondering, like, do you think that is a massive problem, and why people don't have the confidence and the esteem to approach girls in real life?
In a nutshell, yes. Yes, it's massive. I think which is related to it, you know, porn is fucking cancer
Mm-hmm.
for your
Brain.
for you, for
Yeah.
your self-esteem, for your confidence, for your expectations of what sex is, and what a relationship should be, and objectifying women to just purely reducing them to just sexual objects, and just getting your numbers up and blah blah blah, and that'll lead you down a very fucking shallow, empty, quite depressing path, I find, in the long run. And it's also signaling back to you as well. I know this isn't necessarily on the topic of masturbation, but it is definitely linked to pornography, and also how men should, I think, function in the world, and with girls or looking for a partner. Basically, lads, there's no fucking pressure to get your numbers up, because I remember when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, there's always like a little bit of, because the thing is, like, okay, evolutionary, I get it, like men are your sole purpose, really, from an evolutionary perspective, is to spread your seed as far as wide as possible. So basically you want to fuck everything. You know, you always have that, you're programmed to see wide hips, skinny waist, because it indicates high fertility. Okay, and this is why men are congratulated on having high numbers, and kings and whatnot would have sex with thousands of women, because that was basically a high on the sexual market of like your competency as a man.
Yeah.
Whereas for women it's inverted, which is why it's like the worst thing to call a girl is like a slut, because that's you're
It
basically
suggests
exposing
the
her.
lack of loyalty, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Basically.
because women aren't designed to do that. Women are designed for hypergamy from an evolutionary perspective. She's designed to seek out the fittest male amongst the group with the best genes and stay loyal to him, to bear his offspring. We don't have that nowadays. Now it's like, and this is, I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this again, but I'm gonna fuck. This is why, like, we've had this bullshit equality thing where men and women are equal. We're not equal. Okay, we both have strengths and weaknesses, and we're both wired differently. And to say that, oh, if a man can go and sleep around, why can't a woman? Sure, she can, but just be aware of what you're doing long term to your respect as yourself as a woman. Nobody wants a woman who's been sleeping around a lot. You go and find a high quality man who wants that. Nobody wants that. No man wants that. So just be careful of what bed you make, because you will have to sleep in it. But yeah, to get kind of back onto your question about pornography and masturbation isn't inherently bad of itself. Okay, it's what are you doing it for? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it as an escape? Are you doing it because you're bored? Or, you know, are you in a good place mentally and you just want to fucking enjoy yourself a little bit? Fine, go for it. I think, you know what, if you're in a healthy space, you need some relief, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. Everything in moderation. And that same goes for jacking off, man. You could go the no fat route. You could go, you know, not wanking for 30 days and hitting this hard reset that the no fat community call it, is like, I think it's 90 days, but I couldn't do that. I found it, I cracked after 30. And even then I'm fucking proud of that, man, because it's not
29 days more than most young men, isn't it?
Like, the amount of temptation you have nowadays with Instagram,
Yeah.
and just the way the media sexualizes everything, and it's like, it's very difficult. So I think for the principle of disciplining your not fantasies, but disciplining your desires. As a man, you know how it is, lads. When you're horny, you just fucking need to jack off, otherwise you can't think clear. But if you can discipline that, if you can, hold that back, then the idea is that it carries over into other aspects. If you can discipline yourself from your ultimate energy, which is sexual energy, it's testosterone, then you can refrain from other aspects in your life with your work and whatnot, and you can transmute that. Some Eastern cultures called it like sexual transmutation, in which and we know that certain high performers like Mike Tyson, Tesla, all practiced or preached or were advocates of abstaining from sex and masturbation in an effort to conserve that energy and direct it towards the work. And obviously you've got science now which says, there's no benefit to holding like semen retention or masturbation, and actually your testosterone dips after a week, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing just because it might temporarily dip. There just actually isn't enough data on it. So I think there's definitely no harm in trying it, but I think either way of the argument, you should be moderating that thing, because how do you feel after you've jacked off? You feel relieved. What do you want to go and chat to a girl after that when you've just blowing your junk everywhere? No, because you're full of prolactin. That makes you feel it makes you lose attraction. You're not really. That's why a lot of lads have to be busting off to some fucked up porn. Like, why the fuck did I watch that?
Yeah, I know.
and even girls, like after maybe a one night stand, you're like, why the fuck did I shag her? Because you were thinking with your dick and not your brain. So if again,
it's nut clarity.
Hey?
One of them ones, post nut clarity.
Exactly that. There's a reason why that's a bit of a meme, dude. But I think generally speaking, you should be abstaining from it, not completely, but govern it, moderate it, because again, it's just about discipline, dude. And same with cold showers and all these kind of other practices that you could do for discipline. I think for men, again, if you can control that sexual energy and direct it, go for it. And if you've got a missus, then I think that's fine, because you've worked for it. You're not just reverting to some pixels on a screen, or even just copious amounts of shower wanks, of the girl that you've seen down the street. You're actually going out and doing it, because it's like it's funny because we've all fucking done it.
Yeah, we're just all in the same boat, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. But like, no different as a young lad. You're just like, oh, feels good, do more, like a monkey. But you really need to be careful, because like motivation and whatnot, I do think it does have an effect on it. And I've noticed, I can only work correlation, but in the past, I've noticed that I've been more ballsy with approaching girls when I've not been wanking much. You can call that coincidence, you can call that placebo, but I can only go by correlation. Obviously, it doesn't mean causation, but it can't hurt to try. And I think just rewiring your brain to be like, instead of just reverting back to your bedroom or your shower, actually, you know what? Why don't you test yourself and see if you go for that rejection with the potential of rejection, and see what happens? Because you'll be fine either way, and you might get the reward, not the reward, but you might get what you set out to get. And that's much more fulfilling as well.
Do you also, I'm just going to cut you off there. There's quite a good point. Do you think that another problem that men have to do with like sort of meeting girls is that fear of rejection, and that is literally paralyzing young men, like of their ability to approach on like a day-to-day basis?
100% again. And the thing is, like, fear of rejection is normal. Everybody has it. You have it with work as well, not just girls, but it's really apparent with a girl when you're a man. Because the embarrassment, the tail between your legs after you have to walk back to your mates, be like, oh yeah, she blanked me, or blah blah blah. That is just part of life, man. But nothing risked, nothing gained. And at the end of the day, it's only your ego that's bruised. And we know that girls like vulnerable men. I don't mean vulnerable as in weak or being vulnerable is strong. Being vulnerable is attractive. But what I mean vulnerable is you just be straight up with the girl. You could just be straight up with her and be like, hey, found you attractive. Where are you from? She'll be startled and whatnot, but she will be attracted to that vulnerability, to that directness. It's attractive to put your head on the head on the line, so to speak, and be willing to be rejected than to just be like, can I buy you a drink? Because she's heard that 1,000 times before, and she'll put you in the pool of thousands of other men who have tried that. And you're also putting the dynamic of, I need to pay for your attention, and that's not attractive. No. So a good way to spin that is to be like, I'll buy you a drink, and then when I get the drinks in, I'll just get her a glass of water. And depending on how she reacted, whether she laughed or whatnot, I'll know if she's got some sense of humor. And if she's not, if she doesn't laugh, you've weeded out a bad bunch, or you've missed a bullet there. So, yeah. But those were back in the days of before, when I was single. But now I'm happily in a relationship. So
it's good.
She watches this.
And just kind of on this subject as well, I was listening to one of the podcasts that you did, and I heard something. I just thought I actually couldn't think of anything worse. Was you used to like go out on your own sometimes as well, and like, first off, how do you kind of gain the confidence to do that, and also why did you do it? Would you say?
Okay, so I'll start off with the why. I did it because of kind of what your first question was, is to just help keep that tool sharp. If you don't use it, you lose it. And I think it's just good to push yourself in terms of, not a lot of people would want to do that. And that's why I did it, is because I want to do something that not a lot of people want to do, to see what it's like, and to go towards that uncomfortable, maybe awkwardness that you feel because you're out by yourself. But when you think about it from the bird's eye view, nobody knows that you're by yourself. You could be waiting for a mate. You could be in that group of people that you're chatting to. So really, you're just in your head. And if you feel awkward, then you'll give off that vibe. But if you're just like confident in yourself that, you know what, if I go to this group, they're actually going to have a good chat with me, and we're both going to have a laugh, then you'll give off that vibe as well. So I just go in with that frame of mind of like, I'm going to have a good night because they're going to have a good night, and we're both in that bounce of each other. It's not, obviously initially it's a bit like, okay, you get to wherever you're at, I don't know, a bar or whatever, or a smoking area or whatever, people are gathering around, and you might a lot of people will start to get stuck in the head. So what you want to do is just move, like get out of your head and just don't think, and just approach the first person. And it doesn't have to be a fucking 10 out of 10 girl if you were going out with that purpose, but just approach anyone, man. Just get the social the social juices flowing. And like, I've had a great night every time I've been out by myself. It's not been a lot. Like, I've been out by myself, like, I think in total like 3 times, twice, just to keep it sharp and whatnot. Right. And yeah, I think a lot of people need to do that more often, because you realize it's not even bad. And often the case, you have a great night. And if it's a shit night, you can just go home, but at least then you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So then I was just going to say, what obviously with that experience that you've now sort of acquired throughout the years, I was just wondering, what is like one like major thing that you have learned from your interactions with girls in general, like about their like psychology or whatever, when it comes to like dating and relationships? Like, what is something that has allowed you to be just better with them in general?
Depends what you mean by better, but I think or
just more successful.
Yeah, again, it's like, you have to ask yourself, why do you want to be successful with women? I think it's better to find one high quality woman and stick with them. You'll have a much more fulfilling life and a much more content life than trying to always be the guy that pulls the chick. And that's my lesson that I found was, after getting in a relationship, it's just like, I get it now. When you find someone that you really click with, all that facade of having good game and having to do the push-pull dynamic and frame it like this and don't reply too quick and blah, 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 and be witty and be all this thing, you're like, you just don't miss it. When you find someone that you really click with and you can actually just be yourself, granted that your current self is actually competent and whatnot, it's so much better, dude, than the game. So that's the main thing I've learned from it, is like, be careful with what you do with that kind of the game or gaming girls and going out, well, being more successful for women, because I think it leads to a very lonely road when you're in your 30s, 40s, and maybe you want to start. I know I want to have kids one day. I want to settle down. I think that's the better route to take than just having your numbers up Because I don't blame lads. Like when you're young, you think that's what makes you a man, is fucking loads of girls. But the world's moved on, and I honestly think like just getting one high quality girl and being is so much better. And I didn't understand that till it happened. So I think that would be my message to lads with being more successful women is don't get caught up with it. Have fun with it. Learn to understand what kind of girl you like and how you are as a person and build your confidence and whatnot. Go out, have fun. But don't think like that is the be all or end all. I'm not a competent man, or I'm not a high quality man if I can't pull loads of girls. Quality over quantity anyway. And yeah, I think finding a girl that's extremely compatible with you, once you find that, it's like there's just no desire at all to go back out to the field, as some lads would call it, and try and chase girls. It's just like, I'm so done with that. And it's just something you have to experience, and then you're like, I get it.
So just to kind of summarize there, is what you're saying is like improve yourself physically, mentally, self-development, go to the gym, become basically the best version of yourself, and then just wait for somebody to fit that mold. It's basically
nailed it. Exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, they say, women wait for the winners at finish line. Don't chase women, okay? Because women love attention, and they know that. They know that men will give them the attention. They'll speak to lads that they don't even want to do anything with, just for the sake of having attention, of having several guys to speak to, because that's what they enjoy having, is attention. So what you want to do as a high quality man is focus on yourself, control your sexual urges. You can still go out, you can still have fun, you can still go meet girls, but don't be like, that is your, don't go out with that. Don't have that as like the pillar of your life is fucking girls and getting that number up and being competent just for the sake of having girls. Be competent for yourself. Learn some high value skills, learn to write, learn to speak, get a high valued skill, whether that's engineering or something that society values, become competent in it, become an expert in your field. Then you'll obviously be rewarded monetarily, career wise as well. And then the women will flock to you. You won't have to necessarily, as long as you're not a complete total dweeb and you have some baseline level of social skills, women that you can, not cipher through, but learn to understand what kind of woman you like, they will come to you. Or it will be much easier to pull, or to go and speak to women, because if you've got that self-confidence of competency of you have a good career going, you've got skills, you've got some decent amount of style, you don't have to be devilishly handsome like me, then you'll be fine. So yeah, I would say to men is work on yourself, man, and do that for the next, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like life starts, I think, for when you're 30, and you can still look great when you're 30. We know that statistically women tend to date older guys anyway, because of one, they're more mature, but two, they generally have more money because of competency, again, career capital. And that's not a bad thing. Like, she's not a gold digger for that. Women just want security for their offspring, so there's no shame in that. If you're mad at that, it's because you're scared that you're not going to have enough money in the future. So don't get scared, get better by, again, having a high value skill, and work on that for the next 5-10 years. Like I said, and like you just said, Marcus, the women will eventually come to you if you're a high valued male.
Awesome, mate. So I'm just a little bit conscious of the time, so I'm probably going to wrap up with the last couple of questions at the moment. So I mean, basically, just to summarize the whole podcast, is there any kind of just a few short snippets of advice you'd either give to like your younger self or somebody in a position that she'd leave in uni around 21, our age, something like that?
Yeah. Invest in yourself as much as possible. You're quick to buy a round of drinks. You're quick to spend $9,000 a year at uni for a degree that maybe you're not sure of using, but you just did because your parents wanted to do, or your friends did. But you won't spend, I don't know, a few grand on a course or a qualification or something that's really going to help you have skills that you can provide to society, because money isn't everything, but it does fucking help when it comes to opportunity and learning who you are. And you are actually, you're going to be broke in your 20s pretty much, unless you had mommy and daddy, or unless you had some kind of help, which is fine. But don't let that get you down. I think, again, just invest in yourself as much as you can with the little money that you do have and acquire skills. That's one thing I would tell myself, is just get fucking loads of skills. Just say yes to a lot of things. And fail quick, move quick, fail fast. And that way you can quickly see what sticks, see what doesn't, and then you learn more of who you are. If you stay in your comfort zone, if you stay with your parents, or if you just do things that are familiar, you're not going to have assurance about who you are, about where you want to go, what you want to do, and that will reflect in how you present yourself to the world. So fail quick, fail fast, acquire skills, and also make me sound old, but just enjoy it, man, because it goes so fucking quick. So if I was young again, if I was young, I'm still fucking young, but if I was like 18 to 20, 25, it would be to just enjoy it and say yes to the opportunity. Enjoy going out, because you will be sick of it. Maybe don't go out too much as well. Everything moderation. You'll actually enjoy it more if you moderate that again. Yeah, those are 3 things I would tell my younger self.
Awesome. Brilliant, mate. So where can people find you? Plug away with your socials and the ventures that you're doing.
Yeah, so at the moment it's purely just coaching. It is just one avenue, and just becoming just tunnel vision with it, an expert in the field, and doing one thing but doing it extremely well. So at the moment you can find me on Instagram at Alex Demirel, super simple. And that's the main page, really, is Instagram. I mean, I do have a website, alexdemirel.com, but really, if you want to see what I'm about, it's the Instagram, and you can sign up to the email via the link in my bio, and perhaps Facebook in the future as well. We'll have a Facebook page and a group, but that's where you can find me.
Awesome, mate. And one final question, which we like to do with all our guests, is a bit of a selfish question, but who would you recommend we get on the podcast next?
I mean, it only seems right. Eh?
Hard question, I know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it only seems right for me to, I think Joe Rogan would be really good. If you could
yeah. I'll send him a DM after this.
Never say never, man. You never know.
Never.
I think
we'll go on his.
Yeah,
he's not coming on ours. We'll go on his.
I think you could either get Tom, or you could go with I forgot his second name. His name's Wallace, a mate of mine, Scottish lad. He's been on RET podcast.
Oh, okay.
He's got a good story. He's a Love Islander. But I would say why not get all the RET boys on and go with Tom and see what you can get out of him with his coaching, etc.
Awesome. Yeah, he's just finished a competition, hasn't he? A bodybuilding competition. I'd like to understand how that was for him.
Yeah, you can pick his brains about eating disorder and erectile dysfunction.
All the shit that comes with men's physique kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Fuck that. People always ask me, like, are you ever going to compete? And I'm like, I did want to do it years ago, but I can't justify all that for that. I just don't think it's worth it, personally.
Yeah, putting yourself through a lot of shit and potential like binge eating problems just for 3 random people to tell you that they prefer somebody else's physique.
Legit, dude. Like, I used to have a binge eating problem through like years of starvation for modeling, and it's like I never want to go down there again because it's fucking horrible.
Yeah,
we'll definitely get him on.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great podcast.
Yeah, mate. That was absolutely awesome. That was really good. I think there was a lot of value in that, especially around what you went through in girls particular, because I know that's kind of like a hard kind of place for young guys to get through. But the whole thing about mindset in general, obviously, main thing, having a purpose, work towards your goals, get clear on what you want, implement some good habits to get there, remove the bad habits from your life, and obviously make sure you got a good environment around you as well, because that can dictate who you become as well. So lastly, just thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks lads for having me.
So hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast. If you did, then please do subscribe or follow us on whatever platform you're listening on. Make sure to go over and check out Alex's Instagram page as well. All his links will be in the description along with ours, and me and Sam's personal Instagram as well. But apart from that, hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.